can't really come in from the inside like I'd like to, because that's going to give us less binding. If you do it from the outside here, you may have to put a little extra bend in that Z-bend so that it doesn't bind up. See, as I push it in toward the fuselage side, I can feel the tension. But if I pull it away, I get a lot more deflection angle between the horn and the push rod when I go that way. But no matter what, you're just going to have to make sure that it's not binding, because that servo arm, as that servo arm turns, it's coming in toward the fuselage. So I have to make sure that there's no binding there. If there is, I may have to take some needle nose pliers and just adjust on this little Z-bend until I'm not getting any binding. Put a little extra bend in that Z-bend. Now I can go all the way into the fuselage with no binding. So that'll work. But for the best purpose, it's good to put your little guy on there. Go back to the foam safe CA. A little glue on the horn. And go ahead and push it in there. Make sure it's flush with the bottom. And then I'll go ahead and put just a little bit of extra glue on each side of that horn to make sure it's glued in there well. Just like so. Good action on these guys. Put the servo horn back to neutral. I'll take a little piece of cellophane tape, 1.5 inches long or so, and I'm going to stick the aileron flush with the fuselage here. I'll do this on both sides. Not sticking too well on this one. There we go. Now I'll take another Z-bend and go ahead and plug it right into the servo horn itself, like so. Slide the heat shrink tubing over the carbon. Get me a little piece of aluminum foil. I'm going to place that in between the foam and the airplane, or the push rod, so that when I shrink this tubing up, I don't melt the airplane. Like so. I'm going to get my lighter ready, get my regular CA ready. The aileron is flat. The servo is 90 degrees. Okay, I'll put a little bit of CA here. Slide the shrink tubing over. Make sure that the heat deflector's in there good. Deal. And go to the other side, do the same thing. Heat shrink tubing over the carbon. Z-bend wire into the servo. We'll put our heat shield in here. Like so. Okay, again, aileron, servo, a little bit of glue. Okay, double check the aileron's dropping just a little bit. There we go. Now we can pull off the tape. Now we got functioning ailerons. Looks like they're lining up really well too. Both very flat. Perfect. The worst case scenario is you'd have to possibly push this fuselage out of the way, take the horn off, twist that little wire loose, push it back in or pull it out if one of them's down or up, and get it lined up, and then just hit it with a drop of thin stuff and let it soak in between the heat shrink tubing and wire. That'd be if you got it off, but this one's really close. You can also possibly flex this horn just a little bit in the foam and then reattach it after it breaks loose just a tad. I've had pretty good luck doing it this way though. Very light, no easy connector to fail. I've seen too many of those fail, and they're heavy. So I guess the next step would be we can hinge the rudder. Be a good idea. Your little Ziploc bag here that came with all your goodies, it's got the blender attached to it for the rudder hinge. And what I like to do is hang the rudder just over the edge of the table. Try to adjust the camera here just a little bit. And get this wire out of the way. Go ahead and peel the tape off of the horn. Stick it to the right hand side of the rudder, or of the vertical stabilizer, that is. There's a little bit hanging over each end. Make the second strip. And it goes down below the elevator. Like so. And take your X-Acto knife and cut off the extra. And your fingerprint should be stuck on that little piece of extra that you're cutting off. That's why you want to have it hanging over the edge. Alrighty. Now we'll go ahead and line up our rudder. To the bottom first, come up to the top. Should be no gap between the rudder and the vertical stabilizer. Go ahead and rub it down good. And we got our hinged rudder.